I expected this boss to affect the performance of anomalies, but it turns out it's actually hurting an entirely different type of character. Hello everyone, and welcome back to this corner of New Eridu. Deadly Assault has gotten a new boss for the first time since 1.5. I have studied their moves and mechanics to help you with achieving 3 stars, so let's start. Miasma Priest is an ether weak boss that sports 40% ice resistance. Resistance does not only affect damage dealt to the enemy, but also daze and anomaly buildup. So while you can brute force it with Miyabi like on Sukaku, it might be the best to give them a break. The boss has 12 seconds stun duration and 150% stun damage multiplier, fairly typical for Deadly Assault bosses with few exceptions. There is a good variety in Priest's moves, but the allowed reaction to these moves depends on your team, so let's take a closer look at his attacks. Miasma Priest is kind enough to telegraph his first attack in a sequence by colors of the clock that show up behind his back. In the beginning of the fight, the clock will be set to green, and the first attack is a swooping sword forward. Sometimes it's repeated only once, sometimes twice. This attack sequence ends with a variable slash. If you have a character capable of evasive assist in your team, if they are off field, they can evade the swoops. It activates the vital view and gives you time to get away from the attack. 30 seconds into the battle, Priest will turn the clock to orangish red, and his first attack will be floor attack. Red circles of cracked flooring going in a line from the Priest. This attack doesn't have any prompts. Some characters' invincibility frames allow them to dodge this attack along the line, but if you keep getting hit, dodge to the side using directional controls. Slightly less than a minute from the beginning of the battle, Miasma Priest will activate Purple Time and unleash a barrage of 6 parryable attacks. Don't bother using defensive assist follow-ups, just smash the assist button to parry them all. After the 6, another 3 will follow with Priest flying down from the sky. If you parry all 3 aerial attacks, Miasma Priest will get Impaired, which briefly increases his damage multiplier by 30%. Between these clock-related attacks, Miasma Priest will perform sequences of his basic attacks, consisting of slashes and pokes. He chains them in a string of 2 attacks, either slashes or poke and slash, 3 attacks, slashes only, and 4 attacks as a combination of 2 slashes and a subsequence of poke and slash. In terms of your reaction to these attacks, the exact combination isn't that relevant, as all parts are parryable. If you locked into a sequence of 3 or more attacks, you can even get performance points early into the fight. Sometimes the sequence can end with a fun attack. If you don't have an evasive assist character in the team, it will be dodgeable only. For another special kind of attack that can happen at any time, Miasma Priest will charge and release a very big slash. The preparation for it is comparatively long, so once you learn to recognize it and dodge in time, you won't get hit. In an orange-red state, floor attack can happen after any sequence. And for the last very sneaky attack, Priest unleashes an X-shaped burst of energy. This one is a bit tricky to dodge. Because the attack travels forward, most agents don't have enough invincibility frames to dodge it all at once. If you are standing out of range of the initial slash, you can just dodge the X part. But in general, it's safer to dodge to the side using directional controls, avoiding the entire attack. After recovering from Impaired status, Miasma Priest will activate Miasma Shield. You might already be familiar with this mechanic, but let's revise it anyway. Under the effect of the field, Priest's daze meter is replaced with Miasma Shield. It decays on its own over time, for about 1% per second. But certain attacks can deplete it faster. Dodge counters and defensive assists both remove approximately 6% of the shield, and ultimates about 9%. Support agents' ultimates work too, so you can save them until this part of the fight without losing too much on the damage, but you do risk losing out on extra energy. Applying anomaly status, triggering disorders, using quick assists, or X specials is comparatively ineffective. While the Miasma Shield is active, defense of the enemy raises significantly, so focus on getting rid of it first. Doing so deals enough damage to the priest to grant you up to 2000 points, and refills a good amount of energy to your agents. After recovering from losing the Miasma Shield, the priest will begin the clock combo again, starting from the green color. And you've noticed it correctly, it's never yellow time. So, what other tricks does Miasma Priest have up his sleeves? When switching phases, Miasma Priest increases his anomaly resistance and crit damage taken, stacking up to 2 times. And this buff/debuff gets cleared after Miasma Shield is depleted. Unfortunately, this effect doesn't show up in the game interface, so if by phases we understand clock colors, that means that essentially you are almost never fighting him without at least 1 stack of this effect, unless you can manage to stun him right after removing the Miasma Shield. On the one hand, it's a big disadvantage to anomaly teams. On the other, a nice buff to attack and rupture agents, so maybe you don't want to remove it. And that brings me to an unexpected conclusion. Miasma Priest is weak to Ether, so I still tried a Vivian-Nicole duo with Jane on the field. Despite being in an anomaly disadvantage, they gave me 3-star score fairly easily. However, there is a buff to both physical and Ether anomalies going on at the moment. Besides Miyabi, Like and Sukaku trio, the team that felt disadvantaged was a team with a character capable of evasive assist. In my case, it was Yanagi, Rina, Nicole. But out of all current agents, Juyan is the one for whom the boss seems to be tailor-made, but it actually isn't. The problem that I have encountered is that Rina can use evasive assist for most of the attacks, ruining defensive assist strings that give performance points. It's not an issue with other deadly assault boss that relies on defensive assists. When parrying, Typhon Destroyer will prioritize agents that do defensive assists, without your specific input. But in order to avoid swapping to Rina, I have to choose an agent for assists manually. On PC, forward and backward swaps, I'm up to different keys, but I also play on my phone sometimes. And while you can choose a direction for an assist by swiping to the left or to the right on the assist button, this option is not turned on by default, and takes a bit of time to get used to. Besides, Vital View that activates upon successful evade slows down the enemies, but doesn't slow down the timer. In time-gated challenges, it puts you at a disadvantage. Juyuan burst DPS team that is fairly straightforward in its mechanics could have benefited significantly from the addition of this boss, if not for this complication. The team is still perfectly capable of clearing, but definitely becomes trickier to play, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. So what do you think about the new boss and their mechanics? Please leave your opinion down in the comments, and I will see you soon. Bye bye!